Our research is about Flanders. We know that ethnic cultural minorities do not seem to participate as often as others. The majority of volunteers are educated, white, middle-aged people. This forms a gap between the volunteers and their clients. We would like to know why ethnic cultural minority precipitate less in volunteer work and what organization can do to attract a diverse staff of volunteers with emphasis on their ethnical cultural background.
So based on the report, we're going to make a list of tips for the organization that struggle with the lack of diversity in their organization. And we took notice of your organization while we were exploring the international aspect of it all, because we would like to make a comparison. And yeah, so your organization, since your organization has expertise in diversity, and you try to create a social inclusion and work with volunteers, we would like to pick your brain a little bit.
Okay, that's great. I will start by giving, introducing myself and then introduce our organization so that you know exactly what we do and how we go about doing it. So my name is Christine Locke. I'm the founder and CEO of Diversity House. Diversity House was founded in 2007 with the core vision and mission of promoting community integration, reintegration, inclusion, and cohesion. And we felt that this is very important, especially in the United Kingdom, because United Kingdom, we have different or diverse people from diverse backgrounds living in the United Kingdom. And particularly in the side of the United Kingdom where we operate from, which is the southeast of England, particularly Kent and Medway areas of the southeast of England. At the time we started in 2007, we noticed a very high influx of people from minority ethnic communities moving into this side of the southeast of England. And so it was important for us to create an organization that will not just help the ethnic minorities, but also bridge the gaps between the mainstream communities and the ethnic minorities coming to live in those areas. And bridging those cultural gaps will ensure that we create an inclusive society and cohesive communities where people of different backgrounds, that be it ethnicity, race, migrant status, age, gender, religion, or beliefs, will come together and work together to using their social capital to develop the areas where we are. And that's why we started Diversity House. And Diversity House, when we started it in 2007, the idea was also to provide well-researched information, advice, guidance, and advocacy for the different people in the communities to be able to use community services like housing, health, social care, leisure activities and all that, because that's how you create inclusive society whereby if people have equal access to using community facilities. And Diversity House, we generally work also in the community in schools. We teach in schools, and we also deliver activities in the prison, which is a closed community. And we have different stratas of services that we provide. It's very wide and very broad services that we provide for the different people. So for the service users, we provide, like I said, advice, guidance, information, mentoring, advocacy. We also support them with health education and health promotion. that people, change their health beliefs so that they can, address, we can address social health inequalities amongst these people. We also deliver cultural trainings and workshops and events whereby different people talk about their culture, do activities and events relating to their culture, and meaning that different, they share and exchange their cultural ideas, bridging those cultural misunderstanding and misconceptions that leads to, problems. And then we also support people with employment, help them to do job search, help people to develop, gain ideas and develop their businesses. We run a gender-specific project, and we've been running a gender-specific project since 2010, just to encapsulate the United Nations Global Compact on then Millennium Development Goals, which is now Sustainable Development Goals, looking at gender inequalities and women empowerment. And that's a very, very important project that we run for women. And we've reached as more than, approximately over 9,000 women have actually been impacted in different aspects of their life, which they pronounce that has helped them to take control of their own lives. So for service providers or organizations, we provide them with information also on how to reach the different communities, because when organizations don't actually understand the cultures and the values and social norms of different people, they are unable to engage with them. And then the idea will become, oh, they are very difficult to reach. Human beings are not difficult to reach. It's not working in a very flexible way. That's the only thing that will make you to be able to work with those human beings, no matter what their cultures are. Flexibility is very important. Being able to negotiate and also listen will also help service providers to reach different people from different cultures. And then we do also provide support for organizations in terms of equality, diversity, and inclusion. I hope you are aware of our Equality Acts of 2010. Have you come across the United Kingdom's Equality Acts? So the Equality Acts of 2010 actually try to help people, help individuals and organizations to be aware of the different human characteristics that can put people to disadvantage, and that can lead to discrimination. So we have what we call the 9 protected characteristics, which is gender, race, ethnicity, religion, pregnancy, maternity leave. So if you go to and Google Equality Acts 2010 of the United Kingdom, that will help you to understand what I'm talking about. So we help organizations to look at how their services are running to ensure that they meet the criteria of that Equality Act of 2010. Yes, in a nutshell, very nutshell, this is what we do. But when we started the charity in 2007, we are a very small charity, and we're still a very small charity, but we're a very small charity with very big heart and very big vision. So what we did was because we didn't have money when we started, volunteers were the main tools, human tools, human resources for our organization. Volunteers are still are still in the hearts of our organization. Without volunteers, I don't think we can really perform. Because to us, volunteers are the people that really have the vision. When they come to your organization, they came because they want to contribute to the vision of your organization. They're not coming there because they want you to pay them. But your staff are there because they need to be paid. You see? And so if somebody else offered them a higher pay, they could go away. But your volunteers are there because what you are doing is very important to them. And they think how they skill, or they want to learn the skill to help you to achieve your social change. So we love volunteers. Okay. And so because our charity is a charity that looks at diversity, inclusion, cohesion. So it means that we must have volunteers from different backgrounds.
Yes.
We must have volunteers from different age groups. We must have volunteers from different genders, sexual orientation, religious backgrounds and values, and academic abilities, and all sorts of things. And so, volunteering, that's what you've asked about. How do we do volunteering? Is that not your question?
Yes.
And, yes. So, volunteers, we recruit. Okay, let me tell you something about volunteering. So in volunteering, for instance, in the United Kingdom, volunteers are not paid salary. You don't pay them salary. So yeah, volunteers don't, because their work is voluntary. So you don't pay them salary. Okay, did you get that? Did you hear me?
Yes.
Hello? Okay, so volunteers are not paid salary, but an organization could decide to reimburse them their transportation. If they go to do something and for a job, you can reimburse them their mileage, transportation, and it's good practice to acknowledge that they spent money on running your helping you with your the activities that you do in your organization. Is very good practice. So we in our organization, we pay transport mileage for the volunteers. If they traveled in their own car, then you contribute some mileage towards the petrol that they used for their car. If they traveled by public transport, if they will return the receipts that they pay, they use in paying for the train or the bus or whatever public transport, and then you reimburse them that. And it's very good because it shows that you acknowledge the value that they bring to your organization, but you don't pay them salary. Yes, you may have a volunteer agreement. Yes, remember you have a volunteer agreement or contract, but it's not really binding as when you have a contract with your paid staff. There are different people, So you may have a just written agreement with them to say when they will come to work. So they decide when they want to come, how many hours they want to give you per week or per day or yearly. You could also decide on how to monitor what they do, and so supervision. So it's good for them also to have supervision, but you're having the supervision with them, not because you will use it to either terminate their appointment or so, because they're not paid staff. You're doing supervision in order to have a one-to-one interaction with them to find out, what they're finding difficult, what new ideas they want to bring into what they're doing, how you could help them to gain some new skills. Because to be honest, volunteering should be beneficial to the organization and to the person that is volunteering. So you have to also plan development, workforce development for the volunteers so that they could polish the skills they have or gain new skills, which is very important. So it becomes, profitable for the volunteer and for the organization. So how do we recruit volunteers in the UK? In the UK, we use different strategies an organization can use different strategies to recruit volunteers. So, for instance, I use our organization, Diversity House, as an example. So when we want to, we're always looking for new volunteers, especially when we have new projects.
Mm-hmm.
When we have new projects and we've looked in-house and there's some skills gap, so we can go out, design our flyers, our posters, writing the criteria that we want, the new people that we want to volunteer. So, for example, when we were doing a project, a 2-year project on World War One. World War One, yeah, you know about the Great War, World War One. When we were doing research on a project in schools on World War One, and how the African people got involved in World War One. So, and we are teaching in schools and we are holding conferences in the communities and everywhere. So we needed researchers. So we needed skilled researchers, historians. We needed historians. We needed event organizers. We needed trained teachers who can help us and train and go to schools and deliver training on these subjects, the different schools. We needed people that will write content, social media content for us. We needed also people that will write, a qualified educator who could package or develop the learning objectives for the schools and scheme of work for the school. So we had to go and publicize this in using local newspapers. We went to the radio station and we had different interviews at the radio stations. We publicize it on our website. And whenever we go out to community outreach, in the communities, we talk about it. And we also used our partner organizations' websites and newsletters to make it known that we are looking for these kinds of volunteers. Okay, now we come to ethnicity and volunteering. It is right that you said that the majority of people, even in the United Kingdom, that volunteer, they are from the mainstream communities, and most of them are women, mostly women of a certain age. Maybe they've retired, they have enough time on their hands.
Yes.
Maybe they're still in work, but in some organizations in the United Kingdom, a staff is allowed some hours a week or a month to go and volunteer in an organization of their choice. Okay, I don't know if they do that in Brussels, but we do that in this country.
No, we don't do that.
Okay, so some organizations in this country will give their staff time to go to a particular organization that they like and give some of their time for them, okay? And then some people may not be working, they're young or so, and they're not working, but they still want to volunteer. So it's not always about middle class retired, but mostly the highest percentage is from middle class women, retired, comfortable, and all that.
Yes.
So we now come to the ethnic minorities. So yes, many minority, most minority people from the minority background may not volunteer. It's not because they hate volunteering. No, it's not because they hate volunteering. There are certain issues that make them not to volunteer as much as the settled mainstream communities. So we have some of the minority community members people are economic migrants.
Mhm.
So most of them are economic migrants. So they came in here to work and to get, make some money, which they can use to repatriate home to support those that they left behind. And so they spend so much time working. They're very, very hardworking people, extremely hardworking. Some of them could do 1, 2, 3 jobs in a day.
Yes.
So, and that will mean that they don't have enough time to volunteer.
Yeah. So it's their priority to first make money and volunteer work, because of you don't get money in volunteer work. It's not that priority.
It is not about priority. It's because of the situation and why they
Yes.
came. Okay. If somebody came here because things were difficult where they come from, and they've left certain people behind who they need to support.
Yes.
And you need money to support those people, isn't it? So you've got to work hard to get the money to
Yes.
support them. And also, minority, so there are also disadvantages in the United Kingdom. And the statistics here in the United Kingdom shows that people from Black, Asian, minority ethnic communities live in, are disadvantaged for many reasons. So they live in poor areas. The job they do, even if they have PhD, it's not, it's not as better promoted than the ones that the mainstream community do. And we are younger, the BME, the Black ethnic minorities are also a younger population. So we are still in the workforce also. So we've got to work, you see. But having said that, minority communities, we volunteer. They do volunteering. I'm from minority community, and I started the charity through volunteering because I noticed the gap in services in the areas where we are, and I volunteered to start the charity. And starting the charity, I didn't have money and I didn't know exactly, because I didn't have the skill then to look for money, to put bids and, and do fundraising. So I had to go to work. Use my skill and, in my profession. I'm paid salary, and I use my salary to put inside the charity and do activities for the service users. So yes, so mostly this is the kind of thing that minority communities could do. And then minority communities' way of volunteering also depends on self-help. So we do self-help a lot. So it could be in churches. So they could volunteer in the church. They could volunteer in their mosque or in the temple. So they could volunteer helping their neighbors to, during the COVID pandemic, which we still are in the COVID pandemic, the people from ethnic minorities, we are helping their neighbors, doing shopping for them, checking on them, collecting their medication from the pharmacy. So they could do those kind of volunteering. They could also look after each other's children. That's volunteering, childcare. So it depends the kind of volunteering. So self-help is another way of volunteering where you help each other. So these are some of the things that the minority communities do.
We see the same in Belgium.
Yes.
We see the same tendency in Belgium.
Okay, so that's the thing. And also remember that because of cultural differences, some of them may also be worried about going to a mainstream organization to volunteer because they could think they could treat them differently also.
Yes.
You see, that's where the cultural unawareness comes from. So if an organization would be able to stretch out and embrace cultural differences, they will be able to get different people from different backgrounds volunteering. For instance, in our organization, we have our diversity house, which is a diversity house. It's a melting pot of people from different backgrounds. It's a melting pot of old people, young people, all sorts of people, you know. So, and it's because of the way we talk about our charity, is the way also we do things with different people. So people in the community see that you are, you know, supporting everybody. And so they're very, you know, so everybody will want to come because they see it as a house where everybody can come in, feel comfortable, and help one another.
It's very
So
welcoming.
we have, yes, that's what they say all the time. Because people don't just come to our charity because they have problems. So we make sure to tell people our charity is not just where you come because you have a problem. Our charity is where you come to make friendships, to make friends, to feel welcome, to just ask questions, and to do anything that is, you know, that you want to do and feel comfortable. You could come there to have a laugh and have a cup of tea or coffee, or we are always there. We stop everything we are doing and we interact with you. I give you an example. Somebody came to us one time because the cat died.
Because it was?
And the cat,
Oh, yes.
the pet cat died. And we felt so down and came and we looked at this person and she looked down. She didn't look happy. And so we just said, what do we give you? What kind of, so cup of tea, this, that, and everybody in the open office stopped what they were doing and, you know, said, can I give you a hug?
Oh,
Because remember, culturally, people here find it difficult. They will, you know, they will
physical contact is not normal.
Somebody they don't know. But the way we are so open and, you know, and embracing, oh, sorry, can we give you a hug? Do you mind this? You know, we culturally, where we come from, we are touchy-feely kind of people, and we like warmth, and it shows by the colors we wear. We like warmth and openness, and so we embrace and all that. And you know, by the time this person left, oh, she said, wow, this place is so warm, so welcoming, so calming that you could feel it in the atmosphere of the office. It's calm, it's calm. And so, and they gave us donations and they bring all sorts of things. And they always pass by when they're going to shops, because our charity is by the town center. When they're going to shop, they pass by to say hello, and they bake cakes and they bring the cake for the, you know, for the staff and volunteers. So, you know, when you do that kind of thing, people, because you're not segregating, people see that you genuinely, that you really, really care for them.
Yeah.
You know, we are all human beings. We really want people to care for us. We want people to cry when we cry with us, to laugh when we laugh with us. Yeah, we are social animals. We are all the same, regardless of how the color. We are the same people. We feel we are emotional people.
Yeah.
You know, and we want to be loved. And if you do that, people can really, really understand when you really, really care for them.
Yeah.
They are not doing it because you are paid to do it, but you are doing it because you're coming from a place of love. And doing that will ensure that you have different people that will help you. Like I said before, our charity is a very small charity, but we have people from America, from Germany, from Africa, from all over the world that deliver, that volunteer for us. So volunteering actually is not when you see people face to face, when they come to your office. So we have researchers in America and in Africa who write, research. We are looking at World War II now, World War II, and we're having researchers who are researching some aspects of World War II for us. Okay, so we have for the women program, we have we were looking for sewing machines because we wanted to teach the women how to sew. And we just went to churches and we just put it out there in the community that we're looking for sewing machines. The next day, many people started bringing sewing machines. The next day, people started bringing fabrics to sew and all sorts of things. And before you know it, we have people offering to teach the women how to sew. And this project started. So we didn't spend money to do any of those things. And the women are learning how to sew. With this COVID now, we want to teach Black people or ethnic minorities how to ride bikes. Some of them grew up without learning how to ride a bike. And we went out there and got a lot of bicycles, new bicycles built for us, and that we gave to the women. And we got somebody to teach the women how to ride their bicycles. So, and we have somebody in the community that is organizing and facilitating and arranging the club and the women to do their bicycle. So, it depends on how an organization positions themselves. You can reach the unreachable. You can do the impossible, but it will depend on the ethos of your organization. So, do you have any question? I see. Yeah, do you have any questions for me?
It's a lot to take in this moment. Can we just can we have a second to look at our questions? Thank you.
Yes, please. I know I've been talking.
Eerst eigenlijk op heel veel.
Nee, echt.
Nee.
Even wachten en stoppen met het dan kan ik niet. Ja, ik kan je misschien even vertellen van hier in België dat eigenlijk heel droog is en dat heel formeel is en dat administratief werk en zo zijn. Dat zij misschien tips heeft van die organisaties dat kunnen aanpakken.
Dus dat eigenlijk droog zit.
Yeah. So we have a question that we did not translate at first, but something that we came up with now. So in Belgium, our view on volunteering is actually really a job without a salary, but it's not with a good cause and all those things. It's more administrative work. It's not fun work here in Belgium.
Not always. We have a few organizations where you can help, like with the diversity house do, but a lot of things are like papers and just
Paperwork. It's a lot of paperwork,
and we would like to know if do you have tips for organizations who don't have so the organizations are not that friendly. It's very formal, but they still want the minorities to join, but they don't know how, because it's a big difference in view from what volunteer work is.
Yeah, like I said, some organizations, even locally where I am now, there are some organizations that don't know exactly how to relate and work with ethnic minorities. So you see that within that organizations, there are only mainstream white people that are volunteers or staff there. Because I'm sure that I'm sure that if they know exactly how to relate to those people, or if they make put an extra effort to recruit them, I'm sure they will have volunteers from those backgrounds. But we still have organizations here locally where I am that do not have volunteers from minority communities.
And
So
do
it's
you
not
think
just in Belgium.
so?
And also,
Would you recommend organizations to get kind of an education on how to work with diversity, to understand
How they can relate
yes,
to the group.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
because sometimes I think that a lot of organizations don't want to change their views on how to do things, and that might be a problem why those minorities do not zie je, in identiteit identificeren.
The group.
They do not relate to that,
Yeah, yeah.
and they don't get a salary, so why would they go there if they do not relate to the cause and the way of working?
Exactly. That's exactly what we're saying. That's I said that we also provide trainings to organizations and to individuals. And if you go to our website, you see the different kinds of trainings that we provide.
Mhm.
We provide training on equality, diversity, and inclusion. We provide training on cultural proficiency. And actually, the training on cultural proficiency, if the organizations themselves will accept and book themselves onto those training on cultural proficiency, it will really help them to understand how to engage with people from different cultures and different backgrounds. It will also help them to begin to question their own prejudice and their own misconceptions about people and the stereotypes and the stigmatizing people. Because if you remove all those stereotyping, let me give you an example. Example would be, ethnic minorities that had to reach. That's the assumption. Why would you think ethnic minorities are hard to reach? It's not peculiar to ethnic minorities. Everybody at a particular time in their life will be hard to reach. For instance, we are here now doing this interview, and somebody wants to deliver a parcel by your front door, and you're not there and the person rings the doorbell, the person from, the delivery rings the doorbell, and you're not there, and they go back to their office, to their boss, the male person, and the boss said, why did you not deliver that parcel to that house? What do you think the delivery man will say? The delivery man will say, oh, I went to that house, but they're difficult to reach. That's why we could not. So everybody at one point will be difficult to reach. So that's not an excuse. The proper thing to do for individuals, as organizations, is to admit that I don't know your culture. I don't know your traditions. I don't know your social norms and your values, but I want to know it. Because if I want to relate with you, if I want to do anything with you, I need to know who you are. I need to know your do's and don'ts. You see what I mean? And if you understand your do's and don'ts, if I understand things about, the way you do things, then I'll be able to relate properly with you. And that's what organizations should do. Organizations should stop putting people in one box. Oh, all minority communities, they do things like this, they think like that. No, all minority communities, they do not volunteer. It's a lie. I'm a volunteer. Many people I know that volunteers. But the thing is your culture, is the culture of your organization, is it good enough? Is it welcoming? If the culture of your organization is not welcoming, and you expect somebody to come to support your vision and you're not paying them, Why would they bother?
Mm-hmm.
When you're going to treat them in a very bad way, or you're going to treat them in an ignorant way,
Mm-hmm.
they will, so it doesn't make any sense. You don't expect somebody that is giving their time for free, their knowledge for free, and everything for free, to come to your organization where you won't talk to them. I've been to such an organization before. Before I started the charity, I went to a mainstream organization, one mainstream organization. I pleaded that I wanted to volunteer for them. I pleaded for more than 6 months, every day going there. They made me to do a test on mathematics or arithmetics, English. They treated me, and I know I was actually, and I am more educated than any one of them. And they treated me differently because I look different to them.
Yeah.
They thought because I'm dark that I don't understand English, or because I don't speak like them. When I'm speaking to them, they say, huh? Such mannerism is disrespectful and horrible.
Mm-hmm.
And because I really wanted to volunteer, I persisted. I felt challenged. And I said, I must volunteer here. And I did everything to volunteer in that place, just to show them that actually I'm coming from a position of knowledge. So I'm not going to, buy into the stupid behavior. You see what I mean?
Yes.
So I thought I needed to show them that I have a class that is much different from theirs. I'm a higher class. So I persisted and I volunteered there.
Yeah.
And that is it. So, and that's how to do. People should learn to embrace other cultures. Organizations should position themselves by acquiring new knowledge, cultural acceptance, cultural awareness, cultural acceptance, cultural understanding, and and embrace the spirit of interculturality, not just multiculturality, that culture, no, interculturality, all overlapping and interwoven together. We are all the same. That's what an organization should aspire to do. To have the spirit of we are all the same. We are, on the same boat together. We want to achieve the same aim of making our society a better society, a better nation. And so we all must come together, join hands together to work together to form a better nation, a better society, a better neighborhood. And that's what people should do. And once an organization have that spirit, then the sky is the limit. They will get any volunteer they want to get. Okay?
Yes, I would like to ask, you said something about as the tests that you need to speak English. Are those the conditions to be a volunteer? They need to speak English and.
Okay, for my organization, you don't need to speak English. Actually, we want people that don't know how to speak English to come to our organization, and when they're doing something, then by interacting with people in the organization and everybody, they start picking the language, because that's how you learn a new language.
Mm-hmm.
So you learn a new language by interacting and speaking to people. Yeah. And so if you don't give people the opportunity to come to a place where the language that you need to learn is spoken, how would they learn to speak the language? So we actually, some of the people that attend our English as a second language class that we have, they're our service users and our volunteers also. So they have two things: service user and volunteer. So when they come to use our services, we deliver services. But when they want to go and learn English, they come and go to the English class and learn English. Mm-hmm. You see what I mean?
Yes.
Because that's the only way to learn English. Mm-hmm. Or to learn, if I come to Brussels I don't speak your language. How do you think I will learn how to speak your language? It's when you let me come to your school to do some things or come to, you know, an organization, and then they will say, go there. How do you say go there? Speak, go there. Then you speak, go there in your language. And then I'll say, what? Then you say, go there. Oh, they say, oh, you mean go there. And then I know go there is that thing that you say. And that's how I begin to pick the language. And before you know it, because I'm working with you, then I can speak your language very well.
Our organization do not give the opportunity. They say you need to speak Dutch, or otherwise you would not be used to them. And so we see that more integrated people from minorities do go to those organizations, but those people who want to volunteer but cannot speak Dutch, they cannot do it. No. So integration, we see that integration is something very important to see with the participation in volunteer work.
Because without participation, actually, you cannot be integrated. You cannot feel inclusive. You cannot feel a sense of belonging. So you've got to participate in every community activities. Mm-hmm. So, I'm really surprised that organizations, are not letting people that don't speak the language to participate in volunteering. They've got to. Mm-hmm. They just have to volunteer, because that's the only way they can relate with you and get to understand your culture. And, the culture includes language. So if you want to talk about integration and inclusion and cohesion, you're not letting people come in and learn your culture, your language, and the way you do things, then how can they feel integrated? Mm-hmm. And that's one good thing about United Kingdom. In United Kingdom, it doesn't matter. We have this Institute of Community Cohesion, which I'm a fellow of the Institute of Community Cohesion. And part of cohesion is that people need to be seen and participate in community lives. And mm-hmm. community lives involve volunteering also. Yeah. So people that can't speak the language can go and, be a cleaner in the school, volunteer to clean school. They could also stand in the streets with lollipop and help children to cross the street so that the cars will not hurt them. Mm-hmm. They could be drivers. They could drive in a charity van, drive and deliver things in the charity. They could also use their skill of carpentry to raise up things and shelves and all that. There are many things. So mm-hmm. those organizations that are not letting people to come in and volunteer because they don't speak Dutch, they are losing. They are losing on the natural resources, the skills that all these people that don't speak Dutch now have, because they mm-hmm. have skills that they should, those organizations should tap those skills and build their organizations. If only they will be patient enough to help, help those people learn how to speak Dutch. But you don't speak a language in 1 week, it takes time. And actually it's very good, because if they don't speak the language and it takes time for an adult to learn a new language, it means that they will be your volunteer for a long time. And so you have volunteers for a very long time until they perfect their Dutch and they go and look for a job or something else. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I have spent a lot of time with you. So one more question, then I'll go, because now I've spent nearly 1 hour with you.
Oh yeah. Oh my god, ik weet niet waar ik moet vragen. Je gaat er wel mee toch moeten houden. Ja. Wacht hè, want die hebben we ook al. Maar je zei naar beneden. Ja, ik wist niet dat ik het moest zeggen. Wacht, dat weten we. Fuck. Mannen, weten jullie wat we moeten vragen nog? Doe mij niet. Fuck. Shit, we moeten doen. Oh nee, die verstaat dat. Dat ik niet. Ik dacht echt. Wacht, wat hebben we nodig van dingen van dat we. Zo. Nee.
Another question, because here in Belgium we got a law for volunteering. Is there in England also, in the UK, also a law for that, or is just
Legislation about volunteer work.
I didn't get that question.
Do you have in England a legislation about volunteer work that protects the volunteers?
Yeah, that's what we have is there's something about volunteering, but we encourage people to volunteer. But remember that volunteering is something, as the name involves, is a voluntary thing. So the law does not make it mandatory. There's not a mandatory law that says that somebody should volunteer, but rather we have documents of good practices, how to treat a volunteer. Also, depending on what a volunteer should be doing, a volunteer, depending on the kind of, because we have vulnerable people, so you need to look at safeguarding the people that are vulnerable. So if a volunteer is going to be working with very vulnerable people, you know what I mean by vulnerable people? People that are, very young people, or people that have learning difficulties, or very old people. So a volunteer, you have to check, do a background check of the volunteer if they're going to work, solely with that person, so that you make sure that those people that are very, vulnerable are protected. Apart from that, voluntary work here is as the name entails, is volunteer, but good practices should be put in place, like I said already, whereby you could, a volunteer is not your staff, but you could also provide training because you want to better the life of the volunteer. You also pay them some, not pay, you contribute to their transportation or whatever expenses they incur whilst they were doing volunteering for you. Yes.
For the money part, so we might have the problem in Belgium that if you earn money, even though when it's volunteer work, you can lose some things that from the social. I don't know how we need to call it, but like when you don't have a job, you get money here in Belgium, but it comes in danger when you start to earn money in other ways, like volunteer work. How is that also in England?
Okay, in England, we have what we call the benefit system, the welfare benefit. So when you're not working, if you're not working, you are entitled to some benefits. If they have to check and see the kind of benefits that you're entitled to. And if you're not, if you're volunteering, actually, they encourage you to volunteer, because when you go to volunteer, you learn some new skills, which will mean that you go and look for a job. And when you get a job, then you don't get those benefits again, depending on how many hours you are working. Okay. So what happens here is that if you're volunteering, you will still get paid your benefits, your welfare benefits, because the place where you're volunteering are not paying you anything. You volunteer, so you don't lose your welfare, benefits. Yeah, you only begin to lose your welfare benefits if you are working and working enough hours. So there's a cut-off hours that you will work when you go back to work. That means they'll count it that you cannot receive your benefits again. But if you are working some hours and and the pay is not enough, so you can still get some benefits to top up,
Yes.
to make sure that you live, have enough money.
Yeah.
To live, So that's how it is.
Zo, het gaan afronden.
So,
Okay. Once again, we want to thank you, Christine, with a wonderful time talking to you. And we wish you and your organization good luck in the future. Would you like to receive a copy of the report when it's done, although it will be in Dutch?
So you might can translate
Yeah.
it on Google or something. If you are interested to read the tips that we write out at the end.
For the organization?
Oh yes, our charity is a diverse charity. So even if I don't understand it, if we put it on our website, then the people that speak Dutch that use our website and our service users will get to know about it. And that's your dissemination also. So it will help you also in disseminating your reports so that you get a wider range of people reading your report and all that. So I think it's to your benefit also.
Okay,
Yes?
yeah.
And also, if you give me a link of this interview, that would be wonderful. Okay.
If you we didn't hear you.
So if you give me a link to this recording, that would be nice.
Okay, okay, we will do that. Thank you, Christine.
Okay. You're welcome. Take care and good luck.
Yes, you too. Have a good day.
Bye bye now. Bye.